Welcome to Your Ultimate Life podcast, where we help you break free from mediocrity and create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Get your free video series at yourultimatelife.ca.
Welcome to Your Ultimate Life. How are you living today? Simple question. Are you living in joy? Are you living in wealth? Are you living in sadness? Are you living in struggle? Something I find that helps me is stopping several times every single day and just asking a really simple question. Where am I in my mind? Sometimes I call it the ladder of consciousness. I didn't create that phrase. I heard it first from Steve Chandler, who was a mentor of mine. I was in his mastermind for several years. And I think he credited it or something like it to someone else, but it doesn't matter. It's an idea that there's a ladder up and down. Think of it as higher and lower of where our consciousness sits, right? And the top of the ladder is joy and connection and love and compassion and creativity and excellence and all those good things that make us feel really good. And the bottom of the ladder is fear and hate and death and anger. And in the middle, you might have apathy and who cares and that kind of stuff. And I have drawn that ladder in teaching or something like it, or coaching, maybe hundreds of times, I don't know, to illustrate an idea. At any moment in your life, you and I are somewhere on the ladder. Now, when we're asleep, we're nowhere, right? So one way I think of that is we die every night and we wake up again every morning, or we're created again every morning. Now, I know our subconscious mind continues all night to do things. Like sometimes you go to sleep and you wake up with an idea, or you wake up in the middle of the night with an idea. Your subconscious mind continues to work on stuff. Sometimes that's really good, and sometimes that feels like a problem. I'll give you some examples. Obviously, your subconscious mind keeps working because your heart keeps beating and your food digests and, all of the rest of the stuff keeps going on. Well, of course it does. But your awareness, your subconscious mind that is not relegated to keeping the body functioning also continues. It doesn't stop. And sometimes we dream with that. Dreams are part of memory storage and that sort of thing. But sometimes we dream about problems. And sometimes when we go to bed upset, we just churn all night. And so our body reacts to that. I want you to think right now, when was the last time you had a really restless night because you're uptight about something? I have a client right now, and one of the things we're working on is he's in the middle of some struggles with business, like we all are in the middle of something, right? Sometimes things in life aren't going like we want, or relationships or finances, sometime in business, sometimes with kids, and so, or friendships or whatever, right? And so you might go to bed and you wake up in the middle of the night uptight. Well, he was talking about having difficulty sleeping. And as we dove into it, it was worrying about a particular situation, a couple of situations that are not pleasant that are going on in life and business. Well, that's not uncommon. That happens all the time. So what do you do about that? Well, first of all, there are ways to eliminate that, completely eliminate, not mitigate. And I'm not talking about taking melatonin unless you want to. That's fine. Do you know where melatonin comes from? It comes from the pineal gland, which is this weird gland. Most of the brain, right, is split into two hemispheres, the right and the left half, and they mirror each other. And this isn't going to be a brain seminar, but the pineal gland is buried way deep in the middle of the brain, and it's, I think, the only thing that isn't mirrored left and right. It's all by itself, in the middle, in the center. And the pineal gland, one of the things that it does, among many others, is secrete melatonin and keep us on our day and night schedule. Another interesting thing about that is the pineal gland is the only piece of the brain that isn't isolated by the blood-brain barrier. And it consumes an enormous amount of blood. In other words, nutrition and so forth. Some people think the pineal gland is the seat of consciousness, is the seat of the spirit. Joe Dispenza talks about The pineal gland being our eye, our third eye. So if you think about the third eye, right, straight in there in your forehead, that's just about where you'd hit the pineal gland, our intuition, our connection to higher consciousness, and so forth. So I'm not going to talk about that a lot, other than to just note that that particular gland is where melatonin comes from. When we take oral melatonin, it's to supplement that, and so forth. So if you want to sleep and relax, here are some things you can do. Some ideas that I have used, all of which help, sometimes more and sometimes less. But here they are. One of them is to meditate before you go to bed. One is to just slow down. What is meditation? Well, I'm not going to teach mantra meditation or lotus positions or anything here, although those are all wonderful. It's really simple. 3 steps. 1, slow down enough to be where you are. Now, that might seem difficult, but let's practice right now. So wherever you are, unless you're driving, even if you're driving, slow down in your mind and your body. Now, if you're driving or you're sitting, like I am right now, you're not running, so your body is somewhat slowed down. But you can slow your heartbeat. You can slow your rhythm of breath. You can slow things down, taking a large breath in through your nose, and then breathing it out with a hum. I could go on a lot longer, but if you breathe it in slowly and then breathe out with a hum, just as long as you can breathe, and you do that 3 or 4 times, your heart rate will drop and your focus will improve. And I'll tell you why. Because when you're humming, it's hard to be thinking about other stuff, right? So even something that simple will help you, 1, go to sleep, and 2, relax so that you can stay asleep. Now, I said meditation was 3 steps. I'll give them to you. Slow down enough to be where you are. As interesting as that sounds, because you're always where you are, not really. Not really. One of the things I do in my morning routine is take an ice bath. So I'll fill the tub with cold water and then pour ice in it also to get it as cold as I can get with the 4 bags of ice that I've got. And laying in that, you might think that the only thing you're thinking about is how cold it is and freezing and teeth chattering, except when you get used to doing that, you're not at all. In fact, after the initial shock and I slow my breathing down, I don't think about the cold anymore. My mind simply relaxes into the situation. Well, that's an example of being where you are. So if you're in bed or preparing for bed, you could lay on your back and just feel everything, your legs on the bed, your head in the pillow if you use one, and your back on there, and you can feel each sensation and feel the breaths as they go in and out. That will give you better sleep. So the 3 steps are slow down enough to be where you are. Second is be still enough to notice what is there. What I notice when I do that kind of thing, even in the ice bath, is I start noticing other things. And I stopped even thinking about cold. And I start having other thoughts. And I don't mean the busyness thoughts, the uptight thoughts that might have been bothering you. That's not what I mean. What I mean is ideas, and they feel different. I describe them as being a different color. They just feel different. They feel like they come from somewhere else, and they do. They come from your spirit or your subconscious gland, your subconscious mind, not gland, your subconscious mind. And maybe the spirit through the pineal gland. I don't know. But they do come and they feel differently. And you know, the interesting thing about that is they almost feel like someone's talking to you. Like there's a voice speaking. And I'm not talking about being crazy and hearing voices. Although you might doubt them. You might say, is this me talking or spirit or whatever? So here's the way to do that. Just relax and hear them. And what I've noticed over time, and this is with years of doing this regularly, I've noticed that it becomes really easy to tell when those voices are coming from higher self. when those voices are coming from spirit or from the divine or from God. And you know how come? Because they feel like they're at the top of that ladder. They feel full of love and creativity and empathy and consciousness and kindness. And they feel like that. And they fill the body with that. Anyway, slow down enough to be where you are. Be still enough to notice what is there. And then this is the key, is trust that what comes to you is truth. Now, that's a very brief conversation about meditation. And if we spent very long talking about that third step, trust what comes to you is truth, that would be worth 2 or 3 episodes by itself. Because, at least for me, I've had all kinds of thoughts come to me and second guess them all the time. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe this won't work. Maybe so-and-so will get upset. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe I'll look stupid. Maybe this, maybe that. And on and on and on. And you know what I notice? Again, when I'm engaged in that kind of thinking, it doesn't calm me down and it doesn't feel good. So then that is an immediate clue that they are not from that place of stillness and connection. So if you're having trouble sleeping, getting the rest your physical body needs, then there's at least one way in very brief form about how to do it. Now, I wrote 5 books about meditation. One's called Meditation, The Amazing Journey Within. And then there are 4 others. One's called Meditation and the Creative Process. One's called Meditation and Finding Your Own Spirituality. And there's a couple of others that are like that are topic specific. They're all on Amazon. And if you want to learn what I know and what I practice about meditation, you can use those. There are thousands upon thousands of free courses and videos on YouTube, but none of them will do you any good at all unless you practice them and get good enough at them that you can use it as a powerful tool, which it is. So that's one tiny thing. So today's episode is, how are you living today? And I spent a good bit of time just talking about getting the sleep you need and learning to meditate, which is really learning to access your higher consciousness, or the divine, however you characterize it. For me, it's very simple. There's a God. I'm a child of God. So are you. It's the divine speaking to us. I know some people do and don't use that language. That's fine. Higher consciousness, higher self, the universe, the divine, whatever makes sense to you. But you know it's there. So use it. Get good at that. So that's a little piece about, I led into that from body rest, but it is mental rest and spiritual rest as well. Then now there's 3 things. There's 3 points that I want to make in the rest of the time we have together, and that's this. How are you living today? What is your preparation like? What is your execution like? Meaning, what do you do with how you prepare? And how do you evaluate and change what needs to be changed? In other words, at the end of the day, do you look at it and you say, this is what I wanted, or this is not what I wanted? Or do you not do that? All right. So preparation is, for many people, non-existent. And what I mean by that is there is no intentional preparation. They just get up and maybe stretch and, maybe then they start looking at the phone or make some coffee or, walk around and, look out the window and sit and think for a minute about what's coming up the day. That isn't preparation. Now, in July and August of 2024, which is the time frame in which this episode is being created, the Olympics are happening or have happened very, in the July-August time frame. And I use that as an example because there's almost nothing in the world that we do that is as visible and powerful as the Olympics. It's a time when there's a display of enormous talent and preparation. We have tons of television shows now. Britain's Got Talent, Australia's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, and maybe there's 10 other countries. I know at least those 3. And it shows all kinds of preparation. So then my question for myself and you is, why don't you prepare for your day each day? Like today, the day you're living, whether you're at night listening to this or in the morning, this day is the only one you have. That's it. Tomorrow's not guaranteed and yesterday's gone. Period. Now, and there's nothing you can do about yesterday. You can make a choice to do some things today if you have to fix something from yesterday. That's still choosing how you use today. So since today is all you have and all I have, why wouldn't we prepare like an Olympic athlete to be the very best we can today? To have the best day every day. It's interesting because I have done many surveys, unofficial, and I don't pretend to be an official statistically significant surveyor, but I've asked lots of people to classify their days as crappy, average, or excellent. And overall, I get about 15% crappy and about 15 or even 10% excellent and about 75% average. Some good, some bad, whatever. Get through the day and hope tomorrow's better. And I started asking myself, why can't I have 80% good days? Like, what prevents that? And when I thought about it to start with, I listed all these excuses, and they're really excuses, but they were reasons when I said them. And they were like, well, because this didn't happen, and I got up late, and the alarm didn't go off, and so did this, and the bus was late, and all these things that were outside of me that prevented me, so to speak, from having a good day, a great day, an excellent day, a spectacular day, like when the wind is at your back. I used to do a bike ride when I lived in Phoenix. We're in Edmonton, Alberta now, but when I was in Phoenix, day after day, every day, I did a long bike ride of about anywhere between 12 and 17 miles. That's not too long, but it takes a little while. And there was one stretch where it was several miles in a row straight. And depending on the day, sometimes I would feel a little wind in my face or wind at my back. And then the days when the wind was at my back, it was riding like the wind, highest gear, laying into that ride all I could go. Why can't your days be like that? If your answer is because, and they point to outside things, you're who I'm talking to today. You get to choose to have an excellent wind at the back day every day. How does that happen? How is it even possible? Well, just like when I was laying in the ice bath, we have the experience we choose. Now, I could have laid there and focused on how cold it was or a bunch of other things. Instead, I focused inward on my spirit and on my, inner self. And I forgot all about the cold. Well, how is that possible to lay in freezing water and be not even concerned about it? It's what we choose to focus on. So I was having a great time in an ice bath. Now, that's just a tiny example. But what I can promise you here is you can have a great time no matter what the day brings. If people don't do what you wanted, if things don't turn out like you like, if things break and if things fail, you can still have a great day because you choose what to focus on. Now, when I say that, you might think, well, that's a bunch of psychobabble crap and you're not being realistic. That's not true. It may seem like that at first, like it might seem if I jump in the ice bath, pretending I'm not freezing is not the same. It's not what I'm talking about. The things around us happen. They do. And they are what we want or they're not. Now, most of us, based on my surveys, have average days where most of them, 75% is what I mostly found, where some things go okay and some things don't. And what we tend to do is focus on the broken stuff. And then it consumes us and we end up frustrated because the day didn't go smoothly. What if instead every time something happens that isn't what you wanted, you say, how can I use this? How can I benefit from this? How can I fix this? How can I grow? How can I change? And focus on those thoughts like being in the ice bath and thinking about anything but cold. In fact, thinking about not just avoiding the cold, but positive stuff, and the ice just becomes a thing that's out there. Those circumstances become a thing out there. Now, I don't have the space on this show to do this complete justice, but one of the things I can promise you is if you learn this skill, you can overcome any obstacle, you can create anything you want in your life. And here's my invitation to you. My commitment this year is to help 250 million people discover your gifts, create the life of purpose, prosperity, and joy that you want. That means where you're on fire every day, you create the cash you need, the impact in the world, and you have the time of your life. You might think I'm nuts. Now, I use this picture in the background, which is looks like an eagle on fire, and there's a man reaching up and touching it or merging with it or something. I don't know. It's an AI picture, and I can't remember the prompt, but it's a wild picture, and it's great big on one of my screens right now, and it's huge, and it's fiery, and it's much larger than the little bit that you're seeing. You can have a life that feels like that picture every day. And that's my promise, because I've learned how to do it. I wasn't born that way. In fact, I lived a lot in the other way, where I blamed a lot of externalities and had mostly miserable days. But I've learned how to create power from all those. And so my offer, it's my point, if my 250 million is to help you learn to do that, help you learn to grow and love and lean into and create from the power that is in every day. So how are you living today? Blaming or creating? That's the key question. Blaming things, making excuses, or creating. So the first thing we talked about is how you prepare yourself. Now, in other episodes, and you need to look them up, or you need to read the book, Living with Purpose and Power, Living with Purpose and Power, which is on Amazon. It describes the morning ritual that I have and a document and so forth that I've created that allows me to be fully prepared to live the kind of days I just talked about. That preparation literally allows me to go through every day on fire, just like this picture behind me, with power and focus and creativity, no matter what happens. And crap happens all the time I didn't ask for, but I create from it, and I love it, and I live into it, and I lean into it. And here's the thing. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes when things happen, it's like, I have no idea what to do. Am I going to make this? Sometimes financial reversals happen, or situations happen. Health, I've had in the last few years, a lot of really serious health challenges, including dying, as you know. But I have created massive good stuff from that, not because I'm magic, but because I'm doing the kind of preparation. So my invitation to you is, if you'd like to know how to do that, go first of all to www.yourultimatelife.ca and get free stuff there. But second, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. My commitment to help 250 million is as serious as anything. I will do that. I will help you learn to create from disaster. The second thing I want to talk about today, and how are you living today after preparation, is, of course, execution. What are we doing with this preparation? Well, my morning ritual lasts a long time, 2.5 hours, and yours can be whatever it is. And one of the things I teach in that book, Living with Purpose and Power, is how to create a morning preparation process that's super powerful, that prepares you for anything, no matter what. But you still have to go execute. That means go to the meetings you have, or have the conversations you have, or go to work if you have a job, or look for work if you're looking for that. You still have to choose what to do. And when you're prepared, how you choose that and how you show up for it are wildly amplified and amped up. Now, I know people who choose with fear as one of the big variables in the equation. You can get rid of that with good preparation, but I'm now talking about execution. So you're in your day. Maybe you sell real estate. Maybe you have an online business. Maybe you work in a factory. I don't know. But how you go about executing each relationship, each conversation, can be powerful or wimpy. It can be fear-based or creation-based. Even if you have a job where you go work on a production line, if you go in there and every interaction is powerful, positive, your focus and attention to detail is unbelievable, and your creation of the space and spirit around you is on fire. Like I said, maybe you sell real estate or something. If you interact with every possible client from this place, way up the ladder, you're going to have unbelievable results. Things that you can't imagine are going to happen for you. I know it. I've experienced it, and I can promise you that. But only if you prepare and then you choose execution. Now, during the execution of the day. There are distractions, the 3Ds: distractions, deflections, and discouragement. Distractions, you know what those are. Facebook comes up, or somebody says something, or something turns out like you don't want. Deflections are often when someone maybe is looking at you and something's happened and it might be your fault, so you're deflecting. It's not my fault, not my job. Discouragement, we all know what that is and when that happens and why. What do you do with the 3Ds? I found out if I don't have a plan, to go back to my morning preparation, then they derail me. So Aflac, right? No, distractions, deflections, and discouragement can derail us from our creation. Because remember, today is the only day you have, no matter what comes your way. So your execution is the process and the attitude by which you do the things you have to do today. And I said that very carefully, the things you have to do today, not the things you have to do today. Because when we say have to, that implies we'd rather be doing something else. What if you lean into and love everything you do? What if you chose to find the courage to love each activity you choose to do? You're committed. You're going to do it anyway. If you do it with powerful intention and then way up the ladder in creativity, you're going to do a better job. It's going to be more fun, and it will pass by quicker, period. Every time with every task. So why not? Execution in that process and with that mindset is powerful and lets every day be a joy. I know because I experienced that. And again, I offer conversation to help you learn to do that. Again, Living with Purpose and Power is a manual on how to do that. And I'm writing another book right now. I just started. I'll have it done maybe by Christmas this year. Be out in 25 probably, called Masterpiece. And it's wonderful. I'm super excited about it. So the last piece of how are you living today is evaluation. When you get done with the day, when it draws to a close and you're home or you're away from the computer, you have dinner or whatever you do and you're relaxed, you stop and you look back at the day. What went well? What didn't go well? How do you do that? Do you spend time in recrimination and negativity? Oh, that sucked. Why did so-and-so do that? Or I sucked. How come I didn't do this? Oh, I could have done that. Again, attacking, I won't even say attacking because that sounds aggressive, reviewing your performance with that mindset is destructive. You blame yourself, you blame others, and guess where your consciousness ends up? At the bottom of the ladder. In anger, in frustration, in resentment, in negativity. That energy will not let you sleep well. It will not prepare you well for the next day, and it will not leave a positive, growth-oriented impression in your heart. So I'm not saying pretend away mistakes or pretend away other things that people did that were grumpy or pretend away bad stuff that just happened around you. What I am saying is how you look at it is everything. Okay, that deal didn't go through. What can I do about it? If nothing, okay, set it aside. The anger and recrimination is not required toward yourself or anyone else, and it's not helpful. It's not helpful, both from the point of view of where we started, which is sleeping well, and the point of view of even figuring out what to do. If you say, wow, that didn't go well, what do I need to do? What can I learn from that as a positive, upbeat, intentional, focused growth opportunity? You're more creative, you see more clearly, and you do better. I promise you, every single time without exception. And once again, you're at the end of the day, guess what? You're getting ready to die. Go to sleep, right? You're going to go to sleep, and you're going to create yourself again in the morning and do it all over again. So the cycle of your life, sleeping, waking, preparation with power and intention and execution with focus and full on owning your choice and creation, and then evaluation without a bunch of drama and negativity, but just making an assessment of how things went. That process is recursive, It is growth oriented, and how you end up is creating every day a little better than the last. So it's an upward spiral that allows you to move quickly to create purpose, prosperity, and joy. On the other hand, if you don't prepare, you execute, just the minimum you have, and you make excuses and blame and negativity, or get sucked into the negativity of someone else's stuff. That's a downward spiral. Now, you've lived both upward spirals and downward spirals. Which is more fun? Which is more productive? Which is more joyous? I want to give you two thoughts as we close. One is you can have either spiral you want any day. Any day, the spiral is up to you, your ownership. I have discovered from living both going up and going down that the spiral going up is more joyful, more powerful, and it is reinforcing, more beautiful. The spiral going down is the opposite. So the second and last thing is I invite you once again to reach out and connect. All I do is work with people and help them overcome obstacles and create purpose, prosperity, and joy. Or in other words, your ultimate life.
Open your heart and this time around, stand.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope that you take it deeply into your heart and decide for yourself how you can create anything you desire. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your friends. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback and topic suggestions. Until tomorrow, this is Your Ultimate Life with host Kellan Fluckiger.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your feet